Hello everyone, it's Theme Park Avenue, I'm Eric. Busch Gardens Tampa is my home park. And over the years, especially after the pandemic, some things have been changing at the park. Some for the worse, but one that's changed for the better is the roller coasters. The park now has 10 roller coasters thanks to the opening of Phoenix Rising coming up very soon, and I think it is one of the best roller coaster lineups in the entire country. So in this video, I will be ranking the top 10 roller coasters at Busch Gardens Tampa. Before we begin, the only caveat is that this is based on my opinions. This will vary for everyone has different experiences and opinions on rides, and I'll just try to explain myself and talk about how different demographics might react to the different coasters. With all of that out of the way, let's begin. Number 10 is Air Grover, the kiddie coaster of the park. It ranks the lowest because I am a thrill seeker. I enjoy the biggest, scariest rides, and Air Grover is very good for what it is. It's an enjoyable kiddie coaster with a decent theme, a long enough layout that it's not super short, and some decent thrills for the genre. It's not a ride I'd go out of my way to get on, but if you have young kids, this one should probably be a priority. Number 9, Tigris. The first of the thrilling coasters on the list. Tigris is not a bad ride, but it's not a good one either. This is a Premier Ride Skyrocket 2 model. It's found at other parks including Busch Gardens Williamsburg and Superman Ultimate Flight, but for whatever reason, this one is the most painful. One big issue is that it has a comfort collar, a restraint that I find quite uncomfortable despite the name. It really does choke you for parts of the ride, and when you have to fall into that restraint on the inversions that have super slow hang time, it's not a pleasant experience. The ride does have intensity, but unfortunately, the pacing issues that come with these rides that are very slow inversion heavy are heightened by the fact that you have to stop and land in this painful restraint for each of the inversions. So it's more tolerable on a ride like Superman at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom that only has a lap bar. So overall, the restraint does kind of ruin this ride, otherwise it might be a few spots higher, but still, this is without a doubt my least favorite of the thrilling coasters in the park. Number 8, Scorpion. Scorpion is a Schwarzkopf looping coaster, a classic ride and one I'm very happy the park still has. It was my first roller coaster, and it has aged well enough. It can be a little janky sometimes, but there's a decent intensity, especially in the final helix around the giant bush, and the loop itself is of course iconic. The ride is not one I think you should go out of your way to get on if you are going for the biggest, most thrilling coasters, but if you have time, I find this one quite enjoyable, and if there's a short enough line, you should definitely try to get on it. Not the best ride in the park, but definitely an upper tier Schwarzkopf looper, and a fun ride overall. Number 7, Phoenix Rising. The brand new for 2024 roller coaster. I rode this just a few days ago, and I thought it was quite good. You can see my full review of it on a separate video, but to summarize, it is a nicer theme than something like Scorpion, so the appearance gets some points. I like the way the ride looks a lot, and for a family inverted coaster, it provides moderate thrills. It's probably a little less intense than Scorpion, but sometimes a more relaxing, slightly forceful ride can be very fun. This delivers in most regards. It currently is a bit of a rattle, and it's not the best layout. I think the Vekoma suspended family coasters can be a little better now, due to the smaller track allowing for tighter turns, but still, it's a good ride, and definitely one of the best family coasters in the park. Number 6, Cobra's Curse, the mock ride spinning coaster that probably has the best theme in the whole park. The massive Snake King statue and elevator lift are a super fun moment that lead into a very decent spinning coaster layout. Whether you're going forwards, backwards, or just spinning around, this ride provides decently intense and very disorienting fun that most kids will definitely enjoy, and thrill seekers will get a good amount out of. It's definitely a very well-rounded roller coaster, with the most beautiful queue and some of the best theming in the whole park, and overall, a super nice experience. Number 5, Cheetah Hunt. Cheetah Hunt is a crowd pleaser. It provides a very long ride experience going through pretty much the entire park. You go super far back, flying past the sky ride, past the elephants, through airtime hills and one inversion, and over the water. It's all very fun. I think it has brief moments of great thrills, but unfortunately, the meandering layout doesn't quite do it for me on this one. It's fun, maybe it's a result of this being in my home park, but compared to some other more meandering rides like the Beast at Kings Island, I was never quite as impressed with this one. It's certainly an enjoyable roller coaster, and it'll definitely have a long line if you go here, so it is one you should probably prioritize. However, of the big 5 major coasters here, while this one is still great, I find it is not quite as thrilling, and thus not quite as noteworthy as a major coaster, as the top 4. Number 4, Kumba. Kumba is a very old B&M looping coaster, one of the first rides ever from the manufacturer, and it does sometimes show its age. For whatever reason, I get smooth rides on one occasion, then rough rides on the next, and it's an ever-repeating cycle. It's not perfectly smooth, rough, but sometimes you can get a very jerky ride that is straight up not enjoyable. At its best, Kumba is an extremely intense ride with a great layout. Every inversion does what it should, the corkscrews are iconic, the pacing is fantastic, and there's little to dislike. That said, even at its best, I don't think it would rank any higher. But it definitely won't rank higher because of the fact that sometimes you can get a bad ride on this. It's sort of a flip of a coin whether or not you'll get a bad ride if you go here for your first time, but I think it is worth riding on the off chance you get a great experience. Number 3, Sheikra. The B&M dive coaster, Sheikra is not as intense as Kumba. However, it does everything that Cheetah Hunt tries to do, but in a more succinct and somehow more fun package. There's only 4 elements really on this. You have the big first drop, you have the Immelman, the second vertical drop, the water splash, and then some turnaround at the end that's kind of the elements. The ride has weird pacing. I think the very strong brake run happening midway through the ride does kill the pacing a little bit and can maybe be turned down a little to make the experience more fun and better paced, but the elements that they do have are all great. The drops are fantastic, the ride's appearance is awesome, the way you weave around this super nicely crafted Stanleyville area, it's all great. I enjoy the slight airtime you get at points on this, the wind in your face, the fact your feet are dangling. It does everything a dive coaster should do. It's fun, short, and sweet, and definitely one of the best roller coasters in the park. Number 2, Montu. Montu is one of the best B&M inverted roller coasters out there. These are at parks all over the world, but few quite match the intensity of Montu. The pacing is relentless in the first half, and even after a fairly strong brake run, you maintain a crazy pace throughout the second half of the ride. The elements on this are all very good, but none quite compare to the Batwing, a double inversion that provides some of the craziest G-forces you'll ever experience on any ride in the US and maybe even the world. In addition to the wild thrills, this ride looks beautiful. It's sectioned off in its own area of the Egypt part of the park, and you'll be high in the sky going over the nicely themed ruins, or low underground in some of the nicely themed troughs. They're painted a color that fits more the Egyptian theme than just the concrete color that other rides have, and the whole area looks great. So whether you're watching off-ride or sitting on-ride, it's definitely one of the best roller coasters at Busch Gardens Tampa, and one of my favorite roller coasters out there. But number 1 is Iron Gwazi. Iron Gwazi is not for everyone. RMC hybrids are truly insane rides. But for me, this is the best roller coaster out there. I've not done every roller coaster, obviously, but of what I've done, this one is the king. When you climb up the 200-foot tall hill and drop higher than any other RMC hybrid at a faster speed and a steeper angle, that's just the tip of the iceberg, because it follows incredible moments of weightlessness. The airtime on this ride will throw you out of your seat, unlike any other I've done. And the inversions, phenomenal. The most noteworthy being the death roll. which doesn't quite live up to its name, but in a metaphorical sense, I'd say it does. It is one of the most wild elements on any roller coaster. You have 3 of the best elements back to back, another world-class one in the wave turn later on in the ride, and the whole experience, while not as long as something like Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point, packs in more of a punch in a smaller track length. And in this case, I would say quality over quantity wins. Even though most of the other rides in the park have more elements to them, this one does everything it can with the few it has, and everything from the flawless pacing, to the wild airtime, to the top tier inversions, to the crazy intensity, make this not just my favorite roller coaster at Busch Gardens Tampa, but for thrill seekers out there, one of the best roller coasters in the world. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below your thoughts on Busch Gardens Tampa's roller coasters or any questions you may have. Subscribe for more theme park content. I'll see you next time.